Hey, 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 happy Tuesday. I'm going to start calling these live Transformational Tuesdays. So welcome to Transformational Tuesdays if you guys are here with me. I'm super excited to be with you guys. And I'm just making sure that I'm live in the right group. Okay, I can see myself. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys. Okay. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday so far and your week is going well. And I hope you guys can get excited for today's training. So today's training, the thing that we're wanting to learn about today, the thing that we want to understand today and move forward from on today is emotional reactions. We want to have more control on our emotional reactions. We want to be able to create more emotional stability. Okay, so that is my intention with today's training, is to kind of walk you guys through what that might be like in your life, how you might be experiencing that, and some tools to help you create some control over your emotional reactions over time so that you can inevitably create that emotional stability. So I hope you guys are excited. I hope you guys will resonate with this training and it will be very helpful for you. I'm very thankful to have you guys here. So with that being said, we can go ahead and jump right in and get started. So what I want to say here with this, if you're not sure if emotional reactions or you feel a little bit out of control emotionally, or there's emotional overwhelm going on, if you're not quite sure, which usually, generally speaking, we are pretty sure if we are experiencing some emotional overwhelm or instability in our emotional health, right? But some ways that you might be experiencing this is if you are easily affected or like triggered by family members, lovers, your children, or even like out in public in strangers, just are like with strangers, like in like political settings or like the news or people at the store or in general spaces, right? Like if other people's opinions or behaviors or the way that they handle certain things or the way that they think or do or feel is affecting you personally, right? Like it might be causing some highly sensitive reactions, or it might be frustrating you, or whatever the case may be, right? You might not feel heard, you might not feel seen, you might not feel understood or appreciated by the person in your life, right? Another example that you might be experiencing is if your expectations or your ideas of how things are going to go for the day or how things are supposed to look, if that changes up, it might send you into like a panic, right? So this might be a sign or an effect of emotional instability or not feeling very in control of your emotions. And then the next thing that I wanted to touch on is if you are experiencing a lack of emotional control or a lack of emotional stability, these emotional reactions, these ways that we're being affected by others, or if our expectations aren't met, right, this might result in us beating ourselves up afterwards. We might, if we reacted a certain way, we might feel guilty afterwards, especially once things maybe calm down. We might start reflecting on the situation, and it might seem like, I could have handled this better. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe they're not the problem. Why do I suck, right? We start reflecting. Maybe we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to be perfect or to do better or be better in life, right? Like, so we start now, we're feeling guilty. We're beating ourselves up. We're feeling down about how we handled the situation, all of the things, right? So these might be some experiences, right? So if you are experiencing some of these things, these might be what's coming from this emotional instability or feeling a lack of control over our emotional well-being or our health or our reactions, the way that we emotionally react to things, right? So this, I remember there was a big moment in my life, especially when I was changing careers. So when I first closed down my salon and I knew that I was getting into healing, right? I was learning how to meditate. I was learning how to master my mind. I was learning how to heal my heart and to do all these things. And I became extremely passionate about learning it. And I wanted to learn how to teach other people how to do this. I wanted to show people how to master their mind, their heart, their bodies, and their soul so that they could create happiness, peace, and fulfillment in their life. I really wanted to move to that. So when I first started making the shift, right, of course, I had been learning, I had been doing these things for myself, but obviously I didn't really know much about how to like create an online space or to get clients and to make it an actual career, right? So I was in the process of just changing and learning and shifting things. And it was a very scary time, and I was faced with a lot of tests and challenges. So when I first went to close down my salon and I told my family, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to close down the salon and I'm going to pursue coaching to teach people how to heal from their trauma and to have, you know, a fulfilled life without having to deal with their emotions and all the things that come from challenges and nervous system upsets in life, right? So I was, like I said, I was faced with some judgment. I was faced with some tests and challenges and adversities when this came up. And I remember one specifically, and you know, it's funny because this was a really hard one for me to go through, but looking back or looking at it from where I am today, it actually helped me get where I am right now. So my cousin had said some things, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but I remember how I took it and how I perceived it, right? He was like, you have no life experience. Who would pay to learn about life from you? Right. So this is coming from a 70-year-old man looking at me. At the time, I was 23 years old. So I was very young in his eyes, but I had a lot of experiences, right? I had lost my dad. I had had my child, went through extreme postpartum depression. I had been through a really toxic divorce, and it was a really crazy time in my life where I just experienced a lot of really big life experiences back to back. And I had to heal from them because they were shutting my body down. And I had learned this, and I was beginning to master it, and I wanted to teach it, right? But him saying this to me really triggered me. It really sit like, because I was like super confident and super excited in what I had to do. And of course, he hits me with this, and I'm over here like, oh my gosh. So this sends me into fear, right? This sends me into frustration, and I start doubting myself, and I start getting really upset and like uncomfortable. You know, those feelings where you feel like you're being twisted, right? Like your insides are being twisted and you just don't know what to do. You don't know where to go, right? So thankfully, I do practice what I preach and what I teach. So I took this emotional trigger and I went home. That day, I was like, okay, I wrote it down. Like as he was talking to me and as I was getting triggered, instead of just kind of reacting to him because I had already had some practice in it, I was just writing it down because I knew internally this was like messing me up. So I was like writing the trigger down. I was like, oh, this is making me mad. So as soon as I got out of the situation, I went home and I sat down and I took out like those notes that I had taken on my phone, and I just looked at them and I dug in, right, with the tools that I'm going to kind of share with you guys today. So after I applied my emotional healing process to it, I was able to start to see things a little bit differently. I was able to dig into it. And so as I'm going to attempt to demonstrate in today's training, I hope that you can start to see that when we're faced with emotional upset, as uncomfortable as it might be, if we dig into it, we can create amazing opportunities for ourselves. Because the experience that I had with my cousin was actually way more important than I realized and would have ever realized if I would have just brushed it to the side and tried to ignore how it made me feel when he said that to me. So by doing the inner work that I needed to do to understand why his words affected me in the first place, it actually led me to the discovery that allowed me to be here with you guys today on video, right? I wouldn't even really be able to be here and to be able to articulate what I do and how I do it and how I've mastered it and the tools, the process of it, the method of it, right? If I did not sit there and go through these things that triggered me, that made me feel like I wasn't capable. Right? If I didn't take that opportunity to dig into that trigger, I wouldn't even be able to be here now. So, you know, I know I've got a lot of people on my page that want more in their life, right? They want more. You guys might want to be a healer. You guys might feel you are healers and you just don't know how to share your message to the world. You might feel like you're an entrepreneur. You know, that I know I work with a lot of coaches. I got a herbalist. I've got a postpartum doula. I've got ADHD coach. She teaches parents with children who have ADHD to to create compassion and connection in their life. And like these people are just doing amazing things. I've got a human design coach. I've got all these people who just have remarkable messages. They have remarkable methods and tools, and they just want to be able to put themselves out into the world and to share the world, to share their gifts with the world so that they can help their people unlock those gifts. Because here's the thing. Whatever gift I have, you have. Whatever gifts my clients are teaching is because they've got those gifts and they're teaching their clients to unlock that specific gift within them as well, right? Like we've got these abilities to be compassionate. We've got these abilities to be healers. We've got these abilities to do all kinds of things. We just need to know how to unlock them and find that unique message to us so that we can put it out there, right? So with that being said, we're going to move into the framework, the method of the emotional healing that I'm talking about earlier, okay? So the first thing that I want you guys to understand, this is kind of the first step. When a situation or an experience happens, we need to figure out, like, how did this situation make us feel? Or what thoughts came up, right? So that's the first thing. What are the thoughts or the emotions that this experience brought up for us, right? So for me, in that experience, I remember when I sat down and I dissected it and I looked at it deeper, the thought that came to my mind was, well, if I'm going to be credible or if people are going to listen to me, I have to know everything, right? There was like that perfectionism coming up, like everything has to be perfect. I have to execute perfectly. I have to know what I'm doing and how I'm talking and what I'm doing all the time in order for people to think that I'm credible. Right? This was the thought that was coming up that I needed to kind of understand a little bit deeper. Now, the emotions that were coming up, I was feeling discouraged. I was feeling unloved. I was feeling unsupported, right? Because this is my family. This is somebody that I care about, like their opinion, right? They're close to me. And they really totally just like shut me down and like made me feel like I was incompetent and incapable, right? So these were the thoughts and the emotions that were coming up for me from this situation. So now we need to move into dissecting this a little bit. We need to dissect those thoughts just a little bit. So maybe you have one specific thought that's coming up, or maybe you have multiple thoughts that are coming up. So you want to make sure that you write those down, right? Especially if you can write them down during the situation, great. If you can't until you get a second to step back, that's fine too. But we need to identify those thoughts and those emotions, and then we need to move into dissecting them. So the question that there's two questions that I really like to ask myself when I'm dissecting a thought. Okay, so is this the truth? So, right, my thought was, in order for me to be credible, I have to know everything, right? That perfectionism coming in. In order for me to be credible, in order for people to listen to me or to think that I am worthy of being their coach or mentor, I have to know it all. I have to know absolutely everything. Is that true? No, it's not true. And I started to think about it like logically when I stepped back and I looked at that thought from the observer. I'm thinking about the greatest experts in the world. They don't know everything, and they never will. Science doesn't know 97% of anything. We don't know what 97% of our DNA function is. We don't know what 97% of the ocean carries. We don't know what 97% of space carries. Most of us, even the greatest geniuses in the world, don't know everything. We aren't even going to ever have the capacity or the capability to know everything. It's just not possible. It's not possible for any of us to know everything. No one does, and no one ever will. And that really humbled me. And that really actually sparked a lot of excitement in me because I really got to step into this new attitude. And you're going to want to keep this in mind, right? This new attitude of I'm the student of life and I will always be learning. I will always be expanding, right? And this is a new shift. Instead of that pressurized perfectionism of I have to know everything or I'm not worthy of being listened to, shifted me to this new attitude of I'm always learning and I'm always expanding, and I will always look for every opportunity to learn more and to become more resourceful. I don't need to know everything to be credible. I need to be resourceful to be credible. I need to be willing to figure it out to be credible, right? So I was able to make that shift just by asking, like, is this true? And then I started looking at the emotions. I started to look at, like, how did this make me feel, right? It made me feel discouraged. It made me feel unloved and unsupported. So I asked myself, like, where did this come from? Where is this coming from within me? And what came up was this memory of my mom as a child. She was like, she would do certain things, or like if we were at the grocery store or if we were at home and she would tell me to find something, or if I got a bad grade on my report card, if I didn't do something the way she wanted me to do it, she would kind of lash out. And she would say things like, well, if it was a snake, it would have bit you because you can't see what's right in front of you, right? She made me feel kind of incompetent. She made me feel insecure. She made me feel like I wasn't capable or able to do certain things. So I held on to that, right? That kind of hurt my feelings. And that was like an inner child. That was an inner memory from my inner child that was feeling kind of stuck and feeling, not capable, incompetent, not smart, like my intelligence, like I needed to be quiet, or I needed to not be seen or heard because I was going to make a fool of myself. I would be embarrassed, right? So these are two major shifts, right? That pressurized perfectionism and this inner child who feels like she needs to shut up and sit down or she'll be made to look like a fool, right? So I've got these two really intense things coming up for me that are potentially going to really get in the way of me creating the dream life and the career that I really want to create, right? So these are things that I need to acknowledge and these things that I need to understand so that I can actually move forward in my life, in my career, right? So that moves us to the next step. So we need to nurture our emotions and our triggered memories, right? So this thing that came up, right? So I dissected the thought, and I've already had an attitude shift from that pressurized perfectionism, and I've moved it to I'm the student of life. And to be credible, you need to be resourceful, and you need to be willing to figure it out, and you need to be willing to learn, right? So I've already had this attitude shift from my thoughts. Well, now I need to have a little bit of an emotional shift, right? So now this leads me into inner child healing. So in my case, I was able to look at the emotions from the trigger, right? So whenever I was triggered, I asked myself, what emotions did I feel? And then whenever I asked myself, where did this come from when I was dissecting it, right? The memory that came up was very similar to those emotions. So it seemed like now I've uncovered a life pattern, right? A pattern in my life that I had not seen before. So now this is where I get to take an opportunity to connect to my inner child that's feeling stuck with these emotions so that I can begin to unwind this pattern and break this toxic life pattern so I can actually move forward and stop conflicting my manifestations so that they can come to me, right? So how I do this is I figure out where she's at, right? I figure out what age does this really kind of come up. And it could be an age range. It could be whatever. But if you can get an idea of the energy, it's a little bit easier to visualize or connect with in meditation form. So what I do is I call this inner child up, right? So whenever I ask myself here, I feel like I'm about 9 years old. I remember I moved schools, and that's when things became a lot more pressured for me because the school that I went to is a lot more advanced than the school that I was at previously, and I was making bad grades. And I remember my confidence was just plummeting at that time. So I went back to that 9-year-old, okay? And I have a process where I like to call forward this 9-year-old and I acknowledge her. So I want to acknowledge her. I want to know that she is seen. I want her to know that she is being heard, and I validate her, right? So I'll say, hey, I know that you're feeling this way. I want her to feel heard. I want her to know that I see her, right? I want her to know that I understand that she feels incompetent. I want her to know that I understand that she feels like she can't do it, that she's not smart enough, and that she needs to be quiet or she's going to make a fool out of herself, right? I take my words and I repeat them back to that inner child who feels stuck so she feels validated, so she feels acknowledged, so that I can have trust with her, so that we can trust each other. And then I can go into my reparenting mode where I reassure her, and maybe like I can bring like the wisdom that I've learned over the years, whatever this is. There's a few ways you can reassure or reparent your inner child. You just go in and you give them whatever you intuitively think that they need. And this can take some practice, but you can do it. Just giving yourself that space and that trust. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips at the end if you feel like, oh, I can't do this, or that'll be too hard. I'll give you guys some extra tips that'll help you make it a little bit easier. So you reassure her, you reparent her, you tell her what she needs to hear, you give her any wisdom that maybe you've learned over the last few years, or maybe you just give her some new insights to help her see that situation that she feels stuck in a bit differently, to broaden the scope so that way she's not stuck in this painful chemical and she's able to expand out and create a new chemical and a new meaning behind the pain that she experienced, so it triggers her differently. It doesn't trigger her in this shut down, be quiet, run away kind of way anymore. She's able to shift her chemicals that it produces. She's able to shift her reactions, right? I hope you guys are following me. I hope this is making sense so far. And then the final thing that I do is, once I feel she has built a relationship with me, she's trusting me, she feels like she's gotten what she needs, she's been reassured, she's been reparented, and I can tell that she's shifted her stuck energy, I'll ask her to be a part of me. I'll ask her to be my teammate. I'll ask her to be with me. I'll tell her that I want to be there for her and I want her to live in my heart, and I'll integrate that stuckness. I'll integrate that inner child with me, and I'll let her know that she's with me now and I'm going to carry her forward. Okay, so then the final thing that we need to do after we have dissected these thoughts, we've nurtured these emotions, we need to acknowledge what we just learned. We need to acknowledge the shifts that we've just made. We need to acknowledge how this experience of unwinding this trigger is going to help us move forward in a positive way. So we need to acknowledge that. So the first thing that I want to acknowledge again, right, is the thoughts. I went from this pressurized perfectionism and I shifted my attitude to my credibility comes from my willingness to be resourceful. My credibility comes from my willingness to figure it out and to not stop. My credibility comes from practicing what I preach. My credibility comes from doing what I teach other people to do so that they can master it, right? It's knowing what I know and mastering it. That's where my credibility comes from, and that's the new attitude that I'm going to carry, right? And what I learned from going to my inner child is that she was stuck and she needed to be reparented. She needed to be cared for. She needed to be heard. This may have been the first time that I ever saw that 9-year-old. That may be the first time that 9-year-old ever actually felt acknowledged or understood or seen. And that's all she needed. And I was able to take that 9-year-old and bring her into my life so that I feel a little bit more whole within myself. Right? So I know that you guys might be thinking a couple of different things. You guys might be thinking, well, if I'm triggered, I'm so emotionally overwhelmed that I can't identify my thoughts or my emotions. I can't understand what these emotions are or what these thoughts are, and I can't identify them or understand them, right? Or if it feels too overwhelming and too uncomfortable, it might just be too scary. We don't have any clarity, and we have to run to something to make us feel better, right? So here's what I have got a couple of things that help me in this process, because even today I am faced with challenges, I'm faced with stress, but I've got to be able to do these processes to keep me steadily growing and consistently moving forward in my life, right? Because here's the thing, our emotions, stress, challenges, bad days, all that stuff's never going to go away. It's how you handle it and it's how you get through that that's going to determine your amount of success, your amount of push through, your amount of what you're able to create, right? So here's some things that I do that have helped me from this moment, right? That was years ago whenever I was faced with those tests and challenges for my family when I first started my business. And these are the exact steps that I took then and I take today to make sure that I get through them. So if I can do them, you can do them. Any of you guys can. My clients are doing them. They're killing the game. If I can do it, we can do it. You can do it too. So the first thing that I do is I ground myself by feeling the stability I have below myself, right? So if I'm sitting down, right, if I'm emotionally overwhelmed or I'm upset and I come over to sit down at my desk or wherever I'm going to work through this process, I'll feel the seat that I'm sitting in. I will really connect my feet to the ground. I will connect my bottom to the chair. I will really ground myself into this stability that I've got, that I'm being carried. So what this does is this helps you stay in reality. This helps you to keep yourself from going into these upper dimensions and you don't feel grounded, and it can make things feel chaotic or crazy. So first thing is make sure before you go into this or before you want to go into this, especially if you're feeling uncomfortable or if you feel like you don't have any mental clarity, you need to shift that energy down Because if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling like you have no clarity, what's happening is there's too much energy in the upper realms, and you need to shift that energy down and ground yourself into your feet. You need to ground yourself into your heart and into your lower body, so that you can start to come back down into reality. So I hope this is making sense so far. The next thing that I do, this is extremely important. This is something that is extremely helpful for me. I find my clients find it extremely helpful, and their results have exponentially sped up when they start mastering this step. So call forward your protective energy. So anyone, any spirit guide, or anything that might make you feel safe and supported. So this can be a physical thing, or this can be an ethereal thing, right? So this can be your higher self. This can be your spirit guides. This can be your parents' higher self. Or if your parents have passed, like I've lost my father, I just call my dad as my spirit guide. So your spirit guides, this can be your parents' higher selves, right? Like if you have your parents here, like my mom is here, I might call her higher self if I need my mom, but I know that my physical mom can't give me what she needs, right? I might call her higher self, or I might call my dad, or I'll call on God or the creator, right? Whatever you resonate with, like just the thing that is in control of all consciousness and all creation, the thing that causes harmony and causes unconditional love and unconditional support. I'll call forward these protective energies, right? So before I go in to ask myself, like, what emotion am I feeling? What thoughts did this experience bring to me? I will do the sequence. I will ground myself. I'll call forward my protective energies. I will make sure that I feel emotionally supported, stable, before I go into this a little bit uncomfortable, mind-boggling territory of this emotional overwhelm that I'm feeling, right? And then finally, once I feel grounded, once I feel like I've got my protectors with me, whatever that is for you, I look inward. I look at my heart. And this helps me stay grounded too, because I'm not looking in my mind for these things, because it's not in your mind, it's in your soul. Your heart carries your soul, and your soul carries these emotions, and your emotions live in your heart as well. So the way you're handling emotions and your emotional reactions, that lives in your heart and your soul. So don't look into your mind for the emotions and for the thoughts, right? I know that that's where we want to go, but we need to look into the heart. So look into the heart. And once you look into the heart, ask yourself, you can close your eyes, you feel grounded, you know you've got your protectors around you. Look into your heart and ask yourself, how is this experiencing making me feel? What emotions are coming up? What emotions am I feeling? And you can have a piece of paper. This is what I recommend, is I would just have a blank piece of paper in front of you, and with your eyes closed, you can kind of scribble what you think. Or you can, if you get something, you can open your eyes and say, oh, I feel disappointed, or oh, I feel worthless, or oh, I feel this. And here's another thing. Here is one of the key elements here. Be honest. If you're not willing to be honest with yourself, then you're not going to get very far, right? So like, try not to judge however you think or you feel, right? How is this experiencing making me feel? How did this experience make me think about myself or others? And be honest. You don't have to let anybody else see it. Just be honest, because the more honest you are and the more you allow yourself to be vulnerable, the deeper you're going to be able to go, and the quicker you're going to be able to get to the other side, okay? So that is my tips for that. That is what helps with that lack of clarity and that uncomfortability. So I've got a challenge for you guys. I've got a little bit of homework and a little bit of an incentive to provide you guys. So I've got a little bit of a challenge if anybody is up for it. I want you guys to practice using your intuition to heal your emotions. So if you guys have been with me through this training, if you guys have made it this far, I want to give you guys a high five. You guys could be watching Netflix. You guys could be watching reels on Facebook. You guys could be wasting your time, but you're here learning. You're here being here for yourself. And I just want to acknowledge that. You guys are the winners. You guys are literally going to go the distance, because you guys are spending your time on self-help and self-education. I just want to acknowledge you guys for that and give you guys some praise, because high fives that you guys are here with me. I'm so thankful and proud of you guys. This is awesome. So the challenge that I have for you guys today is I want you to ask yourself, what emotion or thought have been coming up for you, or may have came up for you while you were listening to this training? Was there a situation that came up and a thought and emotion that was tied to it that needs to be healed or stabilized for you, right? Are you being triggered in your physical health, in your self-care or lack thereof? Are you being triggered with your relationships to other people? Are you triggered in your career, being able to go where you want to go into your career? What situations are causing your emotional uncomfortability, instability, or overwhelm? And I want you, if you can identify that, I want you to share in the comments below this video what emotions or thoughts, if you're willing to be vulnerable with me, if you're willing to share your heart with me, what emotions, what thoughts need to be healed or stabilized for you right now? Think about these situations. If you share this with me in the comments below, I'm going to give you guys access to my advanced heart chakra healing video training that only my paid clients are going to have access to. So this is in my paid group, and only my one-on-one paid clients get access to my advanced healing videos. So I'm doing an advanced heart chakra video healing video training. So if you guys comment and you share your heart with me, you guys allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be honest, and to share with me, I'm going to share this advanced heart chakra healing video training with you if you share what came up for you in the comments. So that is my challenge, that's my homework, and that is my incentive and my gift for you. If you guys will share that with me in the comments, I'd love to hear your heart. I'd love to see what you guys are going to do to move you to your next level in this life. I'm super excited for you. So again, I want to appreciate you for being here. You guys could have been doing anything else with your time, but you guys chose to be here with me. And if you made it this far, you are choosing to learn for yourself, love yourself, and so you can go the distance and create more for you in your life. And I'm just so thankful, so proud of you, and so happy to have you guys here. So if you enjoyed today's training, I'd love if you would share what you thought about today's training in the comments, if you'd give me a like or a love on this video, and if you want to share this video with someone you think might benefit from this training, I would love for you guys to share it or invite them to the group, however you guys can share this out. Whatever you've got to do, invite them or share or ask me how to share, and I will let you know. So I would love if you showed some love. Let me know your thoughts and share with somebody that you think might benefit. And I look forward to hearing what's on your guys' heart, if you guys are willing to share with me, and to share that advanced heart chakra healing video training. And so that's all I've got for you guys today. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's training. You guys got a lot out of it. I will be doing my live trainings a little bit earlier. I think starting next week, my daughter, there was a spot that opened in Head Start, so she's going to be going to like a preschool daycare type thing. So I've got to adjust some of my things during the week, and so I think I need to go live a little bit earlier. So so I will give you guys the updated time once I have it, but you guys will know, and there's always going to be replays available. So either way, I hope you guys enjoyed today's training. And I'm going to look at the comments as soon as I get off of here and reply to everybody's comments. And if you guys do choose to share your heart with me, I will make sure that you get access to the advanced heart chakra training. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week.